And this is about a pharmaceutical representative or a drug company that wanted to make some money on children, because everybody wants to take care of their children. Don't you? I do. I want to make sure that I'm the best mother I can be, and if I can put drugs into them, the little buggers, boy, am I going to do it, you know. This company decided that they weren't making enough billions of dollars, so they invented this thing. They did some research on mice. What they did is they put a whole bunch of mice into a small cubicle. Now, everyone knows that when you do that, whether it's mice or humans or guinea pigs or cows, you get a higher level of stress because of the ratio square footage-wise.
Right.
Well, they put a whole bunch of mice into it, and they watched all these animals start to get a little hyper, a little excited, a little jumpy. Then they shot them up full of this drug that's very close to the street drug called cocaine. But they didn't call it cocaine, they called it something else.
Ritalin?
You are just too smart. I like that when I have audience people that know what I'm talking about.
I'll tell you what, you'll be proud of me.
All right.
I was diagnosed as ADHD.
Yeah?
They tried me on Ritalin. It took me 3 doses before I said, no way.
Thank you. So you're one of the smart ones. There you go. You're one of the smart ones. See?
But I was diagnosed adult ADHD. You know, if I'd have been a kid, it would have been shoved down my throat.
Right, exactly. But as an adult, you had a little bit of common sense because you're smarter than the average bear, and you said, I can't deal with it because you saw the side effects.
Well, it made me feel terrible.
Sure. And the thing is that what if you're just a little kid? You know, you're 6 years old going into kindergarten, your kindergarten teacher's saying, you need Ritalin, you need drugs, something to settle you down. Well, again, like those little mice, they all calmed right down when they were injected with this stuff. And this is what it was the cocaine, but they used a big, long, fancy word. And then they were able to shoot it in the mice. The mice calmed right down. They shoved more mice into that little cubicle, and they were all chilled out. So that's why we can have 30, 40 kids in one classroom, especially kindergarten level, full of Ritalin. And guess what? They're manageable, they're controllable, they'll all sit there very quietly, and they will do what the teacher tells them to do. Or if they can't comprehend because they've been so calmed down that they can't function, that's okay too. At least Johnny is no longer disrupting the class, and that's what we want. The teachers want no disruption, so they can pass out their pieces of paper and say, now class, let's do our coloring. Now class, let's do our alphabets or our ABCs or our numbers, okay? The problem is that this is when we get to see the Ritalin is working on this one too well because he's sleeping. And now we consider him dumb because he's not catching on to the color blue or the color red. And this child has just the right amount of Ritalin because he caught on. He's got the red and the blue, and he's still sitting there. That was the right amount of dosage for him, and guess what? He's the smart student now. So now this is how we can tell who's a smart student and who's the bad student, because it depends on the dosage of our Ritalin. Isn't that wonderful? And the teacher can teach her class. Okay, I thought when we went to school it was to get an education. I guess I'm mistaken. I apologize to all those teachers. You don't have to educate us, you just have to teach your class. And that's what you're paid to do, is to pass out the papers and teach your class. It doesn't matter if the children are not catching on or not, because we'll be labeling them, and then we will do some other drugs to help them along. Okay? So this is one thing, is ADHD. And that's a very sad thing, because what's happening with ADHD and ADD children is they have not been taught proper manners. They have not been taught to sit down and be quiet. They have not been taught to listen with their ears and their mouth closed. Because we become a society that mom and dad are both busy and gone to work before they even get up out of bed, so that they can have their boats and what have you. So we have a babysitter who could care less about how loud they are or how ill-mannered they are at the breakfast table. We don't care. We're just the babysitter. We get paid to do just to watch them so they don't kill each other. Okay? That's what we have. So yes, I am blaming it on society, and I'm blaming it on the moms and the dads who have all these wonderful little children that do not want to discipline the children, number one. Number two, though, is what are we feeding the children? when we're heavy laden with our cereals in the morning and we're heavy laden with our sugars on top of our cereals, how do you think though that sugar is going to be processed into their little bodies when you've given them a healthy dosage of sugar with their what is that called? Fruit Loops. Okay, Fruit Loops already has sugar in it, right? And we're going to give them more sugar. Now they're maybe 25, 35, 45 pounds, and we've given them 3 pounds of sugar. Ouch, before the day even started. How do you expect that body to absorb and use and utilize all those pounds of sugar? It's not going to happen. That's where we get our issues as well. So we have a lot of different issues going on when we're talking about these little bodies, okay? Now the poor teacher cannot handle 30 kids that are all bouncing because of sugar. So she has to do something, okay? In the meantime, we do have to respect the teacher that she's in charge of all these little brats, okay? Now we got to reverse it and say, poor teacher, what can we do? I vote for duct tape, okay? I like duct tape instead of drugs, okay? Duct tape works well. The issue is we've outlawed that, you know. I'm sorry, teachers. I'm in favor of duct tape. You can have all. I'll buy the duct tape for those poor teachers. Okay, what's that?
Torture.
Torture. Yeah, you know. Hey, I don't think it's torture. The poor teacher's getting tortured when you have 30 little rambunctious little kids going around. You know. So we have to do something. So when we're talking about the lack of manners, lack of supervision at home, it's not the teacher's job to discipline or teach manners. Okay. And when we're not feeding our children correctly to begin with, then we have an issue. And that's not the teacher's fault. And this is where I side with the teacher saying we got to do something, because this teacher is supposed to be trying to teach Johnny blue and the letter A for apple or whatever. Okay. So in that regard, this poor teacher needs help. Okay, and she needs it quickly. The problem is, what are the parents going to do? Their parents are going to say, oh, teacher, it's your fault. The teacher is going to say, no, I can't help you at home. I can't go to 30 different houses in the morning. Okay? And the concept is, I agree with the teacher. She needs help. The only way she's going to get help is because those parents do not want to become responsible. Therefore, we're going to push it on to another group of people, which is called the Doctor Society, the Medical Society. And this is where we get our issues going on as the doctors and the, you know, so it's a real big thing of, no, it's not my problem, push it on to the next person, which is sad. Because in the long run, these children are the ones to have a problem. Okay? They're the ones that are not going to learn. They're the ones that are going to be pushed aside the rest of their lives. Okay? That's the sad part about it. Okay? I feel sorry for them. But in the long run, we need to go back to where the home life is and say, Mom, no more Cheerios or Fruit Loops in the morning. Okay? Cheerios is not so bad because I don't think it's... Is that Cheerios laden with high fructose syrup or not? Do we know?
I don't know.
Oh, I won't doubt it. A lot of that cereal's got high
A lot of it does,
yeah.
and the high fructose syrup is what we have to always look for. And the sugar, the sucralose, the fructose, you know, all those other toses, okay?
And that artificial colorings.
Oh my goodness, those are terrible. Those are wicked.
Well, I wouldn't be this way I am if it weren't for red dye number 5.
Some of them, they...
Sure, there you are. You're passing the buck again. There you go. Quit putting it in your mouth, you know. Buy a whole case of that red dye number 5 if you want to do it that way, okay? Get it over with.